All right, guys. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're doing well. Of course, my name is Justin Wise, lead analyst and senior mentor at Cryptocurrency.com, back for another breaking Bitcoin market update. Today is, what is today? What is the day? It's the 28th. Yeah, that's right. It's the 28th, Monday. January 2019, foul year of our Lord. Hopefully you're all doing fantastic. Anybody in a long position is not doing fantastic. All right, anyways. So obviously pretty momentum, pretty high volatility move down last night on most of the major coins. Obviously with Bitcoin moving down, very risky to put on altcoin positions until Bitcoin finds its situation. That's actually exactly what happened with the altcoins that we were charting on the stream last night. We were looking at them. Things looked good. We had key entries. Things were going well for a while. And then Bitcoin started making its leg down. And that's when you want to be setting your stop losses to break even. That's when you want to be managing your risk. When you see Bitcoin, which really dominates all of the altcoins, start to pull things down because it all moves at once. there's lots of leading indicators for this. So you can look at the market depth ratio of Tether. When you do see the market depth ratio of Tether going up, when you see the price, when you see more buying of Tether occurring, it means that people are hedging, pulling out of altcoins. And you can just see it ubiquitously across the board. You can see it ubiquitously across the board. So I just want to say good morning. Actually, sorry, it's not morning because we did push the show back to noon. So I guess I can't say good morning, but I do want to say good afternoon to all the guys in the chat. How are you guys doing? Jay Constant, Jurgeners, Jake Rezio, Ionut. Good to see you, Valentine. Gus Vega, Rick Schmitz. Good to see you guys. Good to see you guys. Thanks for joining me. So let's get over to the charts and let's start talking about some stuff. Oh, okay, yeah. I guess I do got to start with this. Obviously, at the beginning of the show, if you guys, if these movements are pushing you out of your positions, if you're unsure of which direction to take in the market, if 2018 has really wrecked your account, consider joining the Kraken Cryptocurrency Premium Trading Group. Get access to all our signals and setups, as well as one-on-one mentorship and access to our webinar series designed to teach you how to become a profitable trader from scratch. With that said, moving on to the charts. All right, so we'll start off as we do with the larger time frames, looking at Bitcoin here on Bitstamp. All right, so, and I want to point this out, guys. So before we get into attaboys or whatever and this and that, let's just look at volume profile and look at what volume profile was telling us. Now, these lines on the charts haven't moved. So a little different on Bitstamp, or excuse me, when I go over to the XBT chart, when I go over to the MEX chart. But we can clearly see here the power of the volume profile to help give us confluence for where our key horizontal levels are. So as we can see here, we had a previous wick down in the consolidation range, in the contraction range that really was occurring with significant price contraction for about 14 days. We have not truly broken out of that. We really haven't broken out of that trading cycle unless you look at something like the line chart. Now, if you look at the line chart and you're only taking candle bodies into account, you can see that we have made a significant rejection of that trading range and consolidation. But as far as liquidity, as far as volume, we honestly just have not done that yet. Moving the daily candle down for a close, which would seem to me, seeing as we have about 5.5 hours until the daily candle closes, it seems to me that the daily candle will likely still close in this range, meaning that we've found support here on 33.90. We found support on our horizontal high volume node, this previous point of control as well. Sorry. I guess the key thing that I wanted to point out here was just when you're looking for key pivotal areas to go long from. When you're in a period of consolidation, I generally do not like to enter into trades. The only trades that are on the table are going to be scalps. And as we can see, what did we see from Bitcoin for pretty much the last 2 weeks? No matter what position you were going to be in, no matter what indicator you were going to be using, until you got confirmation of a range break, you were in tricky situations because most people are longing these and most people are shorting these. And we can clearly see that if we go over to Bitger, for example, and look at bull bear income. So here's the 1 month of bull bear income. Let's get some of this stuff actually off the screen so you guys can see a little bit more clearly. Okay, so we'll just look at bull and bear income. And this shows the profitability of longs or short positions. And as we talked about yesterday, what we can clearly see here is that when we do see bears in profitable positions, when we see shorts in profitable positions right here, what happens? The market reverses. And when we do see longs right here at our previous local top around 4,000, when the longs are very profitable, what happens? The market reverses. But what do we see right now? We see that net longs and shorts are unprofitable. And why is that? Because we've had this 14 days, we've had these 2 weeks of consolidation, and everybody is eager to put on a position. So the slightest move downwards, everybody jumps to enter into a short, and the slightest move upwards, everybody was jumping to enter into a long. And so what we have is just retail longing at the worst possible positions, longing at the top, and retail shorting at the bottom, as they will do. And the goal here is not to be one of those traders. So what is the goal? What is the ideal? What's the executable plan? Well, the executable plan is to be looking at pivotal levels in the market and to be putting on your positions from those pivotal levels. So the long from 33.90 is a potential. However, if we look down at the lower time frames, we can see that this is currently holding as support. We can see this HVN and previous resistance over here is currently acting as support. However, if we go down to the lower time frames, we see something that I don't like to see when I'm looking for support to hold. And we're just seeing we had this very high volatility movement down to support, and we didn't get a significant reaction off of it. We did not see significant support from the bull stepping in the defend. And we do see that price is just slowly kind of walking its way down and weakening and weakening and weakening that support level. So no longs to be placed from this position, even if we go up from here. Yeah, I mean, you're free to take a scalp if you want, because the reality of the situation is we are at a support level. We did have a few nice wicks down. If you would have simply had limit orders placed right here, you would be in a profitable position right now. And the worst case scenario is that price comes down here, closes something like a 4-hour candle below your support level, and then you know that you're out of your trade. You've been pushed out of your trade, and that's fine. You've taken a small loss to take a chance. Not the trade that I want to take, though, because I don't want to counter trade Bitcoin at this point in time. As I said in my video last night, and as I've talked to the members about, the long-term plan for Bitcoin is to ignore all opportunities to long. I mean, there are scalping opportunities that you can take, but you have to understand the counter trend risk that you're associating yourself with when you do that. Essentially here, it's very simple. We have support at 33.90. We also have support down here at 32.93. That's the HVN. Also, we have this significant area, which is actually the low, and I have this on the BitMEX chart, but I'll go ahead and throw it on here just for frame of reference. All right. We also have that swing low. So my plan is to be putting on positions in these areas, at these areas of support, and managing risk 1 ATR below the swing low. It is. I truly do not think you can go look at the order books, and although yes, the order books are spoofed, I do not feel that we make a straight shot down to lower levels, which I do think we have the potential to make it to eventually. But the consensus opinion is when Bitcoin, if Bitcoin goes below the previous yearly low, and then we're just going to go straight to hell. And people are looking at this range and they're comparing it to this. And the methodology that I'm hearing from people, or their thought process, is that, well, look, we have a descending triangle. We have a descending triangle, 50% drop down. Look what we've got here, Justin. We've got descending triangle, lower highs. We're just going to go straight down. And when you have a lot of traders on the side, and so what differentiates this from this? Well, time differentiates that from this. So if we look at, we had a full year of price contraction, and that's what was required to put on this high volatility move to the downside. What do we have here? We've had just several weeks of price contraction. We've had about 2 months of price contraction. It's just not long enough to exhibit the same volatile move that we saw up here. It's just not enough. It's just not enough. Looking at the weekly time frame. Hold on, let's turn on logarithmic and look at auto while we're over here. Need to redo the Bitstamp chart because I had taken all the lines off to make this current trading range clearer. But we do have some interesting things coming in. If we do take a look at the daily time frame, and we do want to look at some of those long-term downside targets, we'll posit those in. So if we look at where we are right now in relation to everything else, we have this period of slight price contraction. And if this range breaks, the next area is going to be this range right here. We can see this confirmed by the volume profile on the right. And although it's very faint, because again, we're taking in this knowledge down here. So let's actually get rid of that. Let's just turn logarithmic off so I can get a nice look at this. All right, cool. Now I want to take the bottom out so that I can just... There we go. Okay. So there we go. That's a little bit clearer. Hopefully that's clearer for you guys. All right. So we can see here that discounting the absolute bottom of Bitcoin's trajectory right here and just taking in pretty much 2016, 2017 in the run up and just working on this range. What we can see here is that we do have this HVN that we're trading in right now. Now, breaking below this range, and what needs to happen for confirmation of the break of this range? Well, it needs to be a weekly close below the low. A weekly close below the low, not an intraday jump down below the low. And that's going to be that key determining factor on, is this a range break or is this a grab for liquidity? My bet is that it's a grab for liquidity because there has not been enough time, in my opinion, to have enough price contraction to move us volatilely to the downside. Now, I could be wrong, and I'll play that when it occurs. But right now, I do have to take what I believe is the highest probability bet. Would be a long from that position, and then still not looking overall to counter trend trade the market. So once we come back up to resistance, put it back on the short. But below this area, we do have this HVN down here. And what's interesting is that this HVN down here also corresponds, obviously, to previous horizontal resistance. We have a double tap of resistance right here. We have a descending support line right here. So there was a lot of volume traded in this area. So it's an obvious area for Bitcoin to go to next. Just as we saw, we were trading in this overall HVN, and it took a lot of time to break through this range. This is the weekly chart, remember. We broke down, came to a previous HVN, and that's taking us a while to wheedle out this area to figure out where we're going to go next. Breaking this range moves us down to the next HVN, and depending on where we go from there, we play that when we get there. It's anybody who's drawing yearly long trend lines and says the market will go this year, it's highly unlikely that that's going to produce any actionable results for you. However, we do have an interesting confluence area here, because we also have that 886 Fibonacci retracement coming in right there at 2434. It's actually 2331 because I didn't actually snap it to the exact right place. So let me get that snap to the right place. Should actually be 2331. I'll adjust it later, but yeah, so 2331, but in that 23, that mid $2,300 range is the 886 Fibonacci retracement, and many people don't talk about that particular Fibonacci retracement, but it is actually where Bitcoin bottomed at the end of the last bear cycle, measuring from the swing low to the swing high of the last bear cycle. That is where Bitcoin bottomed the last time. So a lot of eyes on this. Obviously, the next area, everybody is talking, obviously, about the point of control, what people might say is the fair value of Bitcoin, all the way down here at the bottom. I think that that's highly unlikely. I truly do think that that's highly unlikely. I do not think that Bitcoin will go to $1,000. Highly unlikely. Could possibly happen. This show might become cracking stocks at that point in time. But long term, nothing's changed fundamentally for how I believe about Bitcoin. I think it's one of the most revolutionary technologies that I've ever seen. In fact, that's one of the things that I do is I travel around. Not only do I do the trading, but I do travel around and teach people about blockchain technology, and specifically Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has the revolutionary potential to change the economic situations of many human beings. It allows us to establish a fair global unitary a fair, fairly incorruptible, codified monetary unit that the entire world can use without reliance on a central point of failure or a central point of authority. And this philosophical concept is very revolutionary, and the key reason why I got involved in the cryptocurrency space in the first place. Then moving from Forex to cryptocurrency because of the volatility. It's absolutely fantastic. So, all right, so that's the big picture. Nothing's really changed on that. We're still just wheedling out this particular situation. So putting on longs at the key support levels here, looking to take profits and put on shorts in this area. Now, breaking this descending resistance line right here, that's going to be step number one for me. As I've said, we kind of come into my, kind of all eyes on this area right here. If we do actually cross the daily and close inside this red box region, which is weekly resistance. So as you can see, let's zoom down into the weekly time frame here. And let's take some clutter off our chart. Let's take the VPVR off so we can just look at price action, and take auto off, and let's zoom in here. Great. So as you can see, we have this weekly equilibrium block that I've been talking about ad nauseum, and an equilibrium block is where we had a dominant downtrend right here, a very strong high momentum downtrend. And then right here, the bulls put in a little bit of resistance. We fall a little bit lower once we find our bottom. Remember, this area is where the bulls sense weakness in the selling pressure. This is where demand sensed weakness in supply. So came back to retest that area. Now, so getting that daily close inside that range is going to be interesting for me, because that will be a break of a primary resistance level, which is the diagonal resistance level. But the horizontal is more important. Now, getting a daily close above the red line, getting a daily close above 4,102, we would be actually establishing a higher daily high. And we haven't been able to do that for over a year. So that is one of those kind of ground shaking, whoa, that just happened. That's one of those ground shaking, whoa, that just happened moments. And at that point, be looking to put on a long. Let's see here. All right, so let's go look at. Let's go over to the BitMEX chart, and we can talk about the little bit of nuances there. And before I do that, let's get into the chat, guys. Morning here is 2019 p.m. Romania, Bucharest. I feel you, man. Yeah, snowy Monday, definitely, man. Says, oops, Tron is dumping after the BTT sale. Sell the news. Yep, and this is exactly why, yesterday, here's the thing. So let's talk about this, actually. Let's talk about Tron. So here's TRX H19. Here's the setup, and you guys, again, so we entered into shorts from this range. So let's see. I think me personally had an initial fill at 674. So right around here, and then everything looked like it was going good. And then price was moving against us. Now I don't normally ladder into positions, but I did have entries filled at 684. Obviously, look back and you're like, God, I wish I'd have caught these tops, but whatever, I caught them by a few Satoshis. So nice variance. But I mean, just clearly we've been talking about wanting to short Tron. And when you look at, when you're looking for trades that can fundamentally change your portfolio balance, you're looking for those big moves in the market. The majority of your money is not going to be made by intraday scalping. And also, it's not a great lifestyle. I did that for years. I scalped for years, and and that's why I developed my personal scalping strategy, which relies around VPSV. VPSV does not require me to sit in front of the charts. See, I have 4 monitors, but that's because I do a lot of stuff. But what I don't do is I don't have the 4 hour, the 1 hour, the 5 minute, and the 10-second chart. I don't do that. I used to, and then I realized, I just make more money when I realize what are the key horizontal levels of resistance, what are the key horizontal levels of support, how does price react when it's approaching those levels that can tell me that I should be putting on a position, and then just going for it, and scaling into a winning position, updating my stop as we go, and following that trend as long as it's going to go. So, obviously the downsides of that particular strategy is that you end up taking lots of small losses, but when you get winners, they're massively out of proportion to your losses. So, So anyways, TRX just absolutely looking fantastic. Yeah, I like this double top. Weak volume as we're approaching right here. Weak volatility. If we looked at TRX BTC. I mean, there was just so many things that were screaming, go for this. Whether you're looking at the 3-day, whether you're looking at the weekly, I mean, it's just fantastic. You get this nice on the 3-day, you get this nice double tap on resistance right here. It's quite lovely. And then just printing out bearish divergence, any and everywhere on this whole final leg up. I mean, and really the key indicator here is, remember what I said, guys. So this is a key rule to follow. Without a significant change in volume or sentiment, the underlying trend is unlikely to change. And then what did we see here? We saw a significant change in volume. So the underlying trend is to the upside right here. We're getting a significant movement to the upside. And then we have a significant change in volume on this candle right here. And then what happens as soon as we put in that high right there? So here's the high. We put in that high right there. Let me zoom in. Sorry, I know... because of the way that I have my screen, I know sometimes it's difficult for people to see. So here's the 3-day chart of TRX BTC. Significant change in volume right here. Significant change in volume. And then we look at the Fisher, and the Fisher is printing bearish divergence pretty much all throughout here. Now, again, you can't act on this here, and you can't act on this here. Again, it does give you an intraday signal because you get bearish divergence on this candle right here. So you wait for this 3-day candle to close, and then you can go down to the daily. And you would have been able to trade that. You would have had a 3-day short. All right. Just like you get the same over here. You get that same 3-day signal over here. You go to the 3-day chart. You get that bearish divergence right there. Doom, doom. You wait for the 3-day candle to close. You go down to the daily time frame, and you're able to take the trade down as far as it will go. All right, so let's go over to XBT actually and talk about XBT. So here's XBT on the daily, and let's first off, let's take some stuff off here. Yeah, and let's just look at price action. All right, so XBT USD on the daily. A couple interesting things here. So here, the level was 33.80. So slight dollar differentiation, but the key support level, that's not really different. Again, we just look at VPVR on a higher time frame, and we get this area right here. We get this high volume node. And all I did was I just figured out, you can just look at the volume profile. Where's the point of control of this high volume node? And you just draw a horizontal there. Now, having limit orders there would have worked out for you. So we go down to the 30-minute chart and we look how that scalp would have worked out for you. Well, you would have been buying right here. You would have bought right here. Now, I'm not recommending, and I'm not putting on longs from this position right here, because looking at the LTFs right here, I do see that we are now below that daily. We are actually below that daily descending support line right there, right? We're below that descending support line. So we're in this fulcrum right here. We're in this fulcrum. So this area between the horizontal and the descending trend line right there. And there are more important factors than just lines on a chart, but it just helps me give a little bit of direction to what I'm looking for. So if we go down to the LTFs, lower time frames, we can see that we're below that trend line, and we came down, had a nice movement off support, and then rejection from previous support. So as you can see, rejection from that horizontal support, which I crafted on the daily time frame by being consistent. So one thing is, if you are going to be drawing trend lines, you just have to make sure that you're consistent. So all I've done here is connected the first two lows, and that gives me a very decent trend line that I could have been trading off of all the time. You can take scalp longs off this every time, just looking to come back up to the point of control. So I do expect this to now this has the higher probability to actualize to the downside. Now, here's the thing. You can't go chasing a short here. You can't go chasing a short here. Now, because for the most part, you're probably going to be late to the party. And again, see, here's the thing too. Look where everybody tried to enter into a short. Most people saw this, and what do you see here? You see the blow off bottom right here. You see the blow off bottom against support, and this is when you have just a lot of people trying to sell, trying to panic sell into a short, or trying to get in late to a party that they're already late for. So you can see the movement, and again, I don't like to trade into consolidation. So you can see here that putting on a position anywhere around here would have given you the nice 4 to 5% trade. Putting on the short from here, I mean, your R to R is just not there. You're trying to squeak out a 1% trade in a very tight range now. Again, in that fulcrum between the descending trend line and the horizontal support. So what I'd like to see, and what I want to do for a trade. Again, my personal preference is this: if I see rejection from this descending trend line again, I will potentially put on a short. If this gets broken through, then I'll be targeting, we can see here, let's go back to the 24-hour chart so I can point out these areas. And again, I'm going to post this for the members, but yeah, so if we're able to get back up here to the 3,500, 3,550 area, that would be the area to be looking to also put on your short, because that would be a retest of the breakdown zone right here and looking for rejection from that area. So you're still looking for opportunities to put in your short. And my general strategy is that I don't short bottom. So when I see situations like this, I don't enter into shorts because I'm too late to the party, man. I like to enter into shorts on big green candles. I like to enter into longs on big red candles. And although I understand that my chart is white and black, the whole Zen Buddha thing, you don't want to be late to the party, man. So just wait. Now, if and the problem with putting on a short here is that where are you going to place your stop loss? Again, I put the most weight of my analysis on the daily time frame. So where are you going to place your stop loss if you're entering right here? it becomes hairy, man. Because look, you being governed right here. If we pull up our exponential moving averages, here's the daily. We're being governed by our 8-period exponential moving average, just completely unable to close above that in a convincing fashion. The last time we did was just a stop loss hunt to the upside. That was back on January 18th. So I mean, where are you going to place your stop loss? Back up here above resistance? I mean, we're 5% below that. 3% below that. It's just not a good R to R trade, especially when your target is, so you got a 5% target. So maybe the R is there to you. It's just not to me. So what I'd like to see a daily close below this fulcrum. That would be nice confirmation for me to go. If we are actually able to close below the descending trend line right here, the daily, because we haven't done that. We haven't done that yet. It's all been wicks and intraday wick downs. So this would be our first daily close below the support line. So the short trade is on the table. If you want to throw open the short, again, it's the smart trade to do. But for me personally, I don't short candles like this. Because the odds are not in my favor, especially when when we've had that pretty high volatile move down to the support level. The possibility for a bounce is just too great in my opinion. So what I like to do and what I want to do is wait for that bounce to actualize. Again, keeping my eye on that descending trend line channel right there to see if we get a secondary rejection from it. But if you want to wait for confirmation, if you want to wait for the daily to close below that trend line, then you can go ahead and put on your short and manage your risk however you prefer to do it. Again, in this case, in situations like this, I like to use something like the 1 hour time frame or even the 30-minute time frame, although the 30-minute time frame gets you a little hairy. 1 hour time frame using ATR to manage risk. Average true range to manage risk. Multiple of 3 ATR, average true range. Or, you can just look at you have the hourly chart right here. You can just go ahead and place your stop. I mean, above resistance if you really want, right here. Or, something above the hourly 55 or the Ichimoku, whatever strategy that you're using to place your stop. But yeah, we do see the weakening of the support level. So I do expect this to move to the downside. The key issue here is timing. When do you enter into your short? Do you try to short the bottom? Do you try to short right now? Or do you wait and anticipate a bounce and attempt to short that? That is the better strategy. That's the better price. That's the better way to do things. Still targeting the downside of 32.25, 31. Well, on the target for a short move is 3,200. The target to pick up longs is 32.25, 31.21. Managing risk right here. All right, so all right, get to the chat here a little bit. Jurgen says, got out of Tron too soon, but it's all good. Now dump, baby. But Tron equals the future. Gus Vegas says, I'm stuck with Wabi and Wings. Yeah, man, when Bitcoin's making its move, man, to the downside, you definitely want to be cutting your losses on your altcoins. Hold on to 1K. Stop it. Holding is good, hedging is better. Hey, what's going on, Myth? Good to see you. Podnuts, good to see you there in the chat. Hey, Christian Debick. Jurgen says, okay, Justin, tough question. What are the chances of another new coin replacing Bitcoin? A bunch of colleges are working on something better. Have you heard? Yeah, absolutely. I've heard that. The problem with that is a couple things. So here's why I think it's highly unlikely that something replaces Bitcoin, because of the network effect of Bitcoin. See, Bitcoin's network is distributed, meaning that it is copied. The distributed ledger is copied across many computers. And in that sense, you have no centralized point of failure, because you've taken something that was in one place and you've distributed it out among a network of other computers. And the way that the protocol is designed in such a way that allows these computers, these nodes on the network, to communicate with each other and share sensitive information using cryptography to be able to trust that the message is not tampered with from one messenger to the next, from one node to the next, and then implying an economic incentive to not cheat the system, because miners who try to cheat the system don't get paid. If you do what you're supposed to do as a miner, you get paid. So, I mean, it's what Satoshi Nakamoto did is, I mean, in reality, he took existing computer technology and combined it in a unique, novel way to solve a real human problem, and then used game theory, to incentivize humans, because Bitcoin itself is a fantastic system. Capitalism itself is a fantastic system. The TCP/IP technology itself is a fantastic system. But the problem is human beings, because human beings are dumb and greedy and violent and short-sighted and manipulative and deceitful. And so, we've devised lots of interesting, sociological models for human beings to exist in throughout time. The problem is getting these humans, these stupid humans, to just follow the rules. People would just follow the rules and be all good. If people just wouldn't rob each other, we'd just have absolute paradise, The problem is getting humans to follow the plan, to stick to the rules, because there's always personal incentive to cheat any system that is overall good for the whole of humanity. But because there's incentive, because I can just take money from you and now I'm wealthier and you're poorer and it's a zero-sum game, and I don't really care about all this other stuff because I've got to die, because I'm going to die in like 50 years. So what do I care about, humanity in 5,000 years? That's the mentality of most people. And that's being bred into people, unfortunately. That short-sighted, non-ideological, or conversely, the rabid ideological, kind of leftist ideology of which really I think is nihilistic in nature. If you really deduce things down to their core elements. Let me get back on my train of thought. So how does this relate to Bitcoin? Okay, so the network effect. Sorry about that. So the network effect. So Bitcoin was able to develop a distributed, decentralized system that had enough network participants to make the system very, very resistant to attack. And the problem with developing a new coin now, the reason why I put my faith and my emphasis and my focus on Bitcoin, is because it has that distributed, decentralized network. And the only way that it was able to grow that in the shadows was by everybody ignoring Bitcoin for a few years. So by the time that people realized that Bitcoin was, excuse me. By the time people realized on a large scale that Bitcoin was valuable, and hey, maybe we should try and take this network down or hack or cheat the system, it was impossible to do so because the network had grown too distributed, too decentralized. It was too impervious to attack. And again, it did that by growing in the shadows. So by the time that it was popular or lucrative to attack, it had already grown too strong. But now the cat's out of the bag. It would be very impossible to do that now because all eyes are on cryptocurrency now. And if you develop something that's going to be valuable, it's going to be attacked. And this is my main problem with Ethereum. Ethereum is fantastic as a concept, as a science project. I think that it can do a lot of great things, but it's not a competitor to Bitcoin. It does not do what a lot of people who promote Ethereum claim that it will do. It has a lot of security flaws. If you look, the Constantinople one is a fantastic example of that. So one of the things that Constantinople was supposed to fix was high gas fees. Okay, so that smart contracts could execute more efficiently, and that we could actually make them more complex, so that they can do more functions, make more smart contracts communicate. But the problem was the limiter was gas was expensive. So now we have a cost benefit analysis when we're talking about getting these smart contracts to perform more complex functions. But there was a flaw in Ethereum where if you had two smart contracts communicating, the smart contract could force the first smart contract to execute a function. In this case, they could steal funds. And they couldn't fix that. Ethereum never fixed that. Ethereum's been on the shelves, rolling around, doing all this stuff, and that problem's been there. But they were able to put a bandage on it by making it expensive for the smart contracts to communicate effectively by making gas expensive. And that wasn't the only reason, but it was basically a security vulnerability, and that's what it amounts to. And one of the things they did in Constantinople was say, hey, let's make gas really cheap. So now these smart contracts could communicate with each other with these low gas fees, and they could pull the function. They could force smart contract B could force smart contract A to perform a function, which this function would be send more money than you had intended, for example. Litecoin, for example, Litecoin took Bitcoin and introduced security vulnerabilities. By having that processing time, it doesn't make the system more secure. The silver to Bitcoin's gold is a fallacious philosophical argument. It's not realistic. And we're seeing things like Lightning Network, and we're going to have Schnorr signatures. Just all the things that are going to be developed on top of Bitcoin, which is an underlying secure network. I think that as technology progresses, and we're already seeing the innovations now. there are going to be solutions built on top of a fundamentally secure blockchain, which is Bitcoin, that are going to solve a lot of these real world problems. Now, that's not to say that Bitcoin's going to be able to do everything. We're going to have other cryptocurrencies, and I want to see that competition in the marketplace because there are going to be unique use cases that other coins solve. Like, for example, I'm very interested in the casino coins, things like Funfair. I think Funfair is fundamentally valuable. I think gamer coins like Engine, for example, is fundamentally valuable because they're trying to do something unique. I think that projects like Ravencoin have fundamental value. I'm not, and if I really, and I don't care to weigh in on the whole Cardano, EOS, Ethereum kind of debate. If I had to, just off the top of my head, I'd probably say that Cardano is more likely technologically superior because of the way that they develop their system from the ground up. But I'm not sold on how any of those will be fantastic investments because they only solve. How do I put this? They push technology forward, but they're not truly solving like a fundamental issue. Like, the idea of global computing is fantastic and awesome, and smart contracts is great. But it's like, guys, let's free the world from economic slavery first. Like, let's get out of the thumb of central banks, bankers, the whole financial system. Let's give the middle class their money back. Get rid of these fraudulent investment systems. Let's make the world a better place. And then we can, maybe talk about, flying rainbow unicorns and VR that taps into our neural network. And anyways, so that's basically my concept on that. Could you please do BNB? It dumped 13%, spiked up 7%, fell back again. What to do? Bought at 450 euro. It's 590 now. Sell or double down? Will, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but here's my thing. Here's my thinking on BNB. Okay, so BNB had broke the daily resistant trend line. Okay, BNB had broken the daily resistant trend line and also the weekly as well. Poked its head up, closed the weekly above there, right? Bullish sign. I took the trade. Stopped out, right? Stopped out on the trade because I managed my risk. And we can actually see that. No, okay. Well, I won't show that on this chart. Just be too much of a pain in the to pull it back up. Now, here's the thing. BNB has not closed below the ascending trend line, but here's what worries me about BNB. What worries me about BNB is that BNB is a leading indicator for what's going to happen in cryptocurrency, because the more people that are buying BNB, the more people are looking at trading Bitcoin. And while I'm thinking that Bitcoin's going to take another leg down, I don't want to be putting my money in altcoins. However, if you just look at the chart, if you just look at the technicals, look at where we are. We came back down. We blew through this. This LVN right here. And we found support right here at the point of control of this lower HVN, of this larger daily HVN. If we look at the Fisher transform, let's see if we get any indications from this. No, we didn't get really anything. We got some nice bullish confluence right here, getting the sell signal down on the downside. So that, again, remember this is the daily, so that we're not going to be able to. This is going to lag behind 1 day. So the Fisher transform only lags by 1 day as opposed to traditional momentum indicators. So BNB right at that area of support. BNB right at that area of support and moving down very volatilely to that movement of support. Now, when we approach support on high volatility, I generally expect support to hold. When we drift lazily down towards support, then I expect us to break through, and that's kind of what I'm talking about with Bitcoin right now. If we look at those lower time frames, just hanging out in that neighborhood. Just hanging out in that neighborhood here of consolidation. And the fact that we're not getting a stronger bullish reaction. In fact, the nice bullish reaction that we got was rejection from support. So an SR flip right here. I don't like that so much. So I don't want to be in any altcoins right now. Obviously, if you want to be kind of a gambler, if you want to just look at this from a risk to reward ratio, yeah. The fact that BNB did break the weekly resistance got faked out, but the fact that we were able to break that is still important in my opinion. But we're going to need to see, I'm going to need to see Bitcoin kind of turn it around or find its nice bottom. You're really kind of gambling away when you're looking to speculate on altcoins and Bitcoin's doing its thing over there. I move in and out of altcoins fairly quickly because I just see how Bitcoin really obviously dominates them. Now, your approach might be different. You might be looking to trend trade. But again, what did I say? Without a significant change in volume or sentiment, you're unlikely to see the underlying trend change. Could you view this as a significant change in volume or sentiment? You definitely could. But that high volatility movement down is to support. So what does this mean? I don't want to take a position. I've got conflicting factors and I don't have confluence that tells me to take this. We're at support. Great. We move toward on high volatility. Great. We've got some underlying fundamental factors with Bitcoin. Okay, that's holding me up here. Let's look. We got the daily. Let's look at some other fundamentals here. All right, closing the daily below support levels of our EMAs. Don't really like that. Bounced off the VPVR. Okay, that's kind of good. Big volume spike could indicate a change and could indicate a change in trend. Also, the fact that we did close above the weekly resistance trend line. Okay, this could be a legitimate fake out. Where's our next support level? That's pretty low below us. So when I have that in my brain and I'm looking at a chart and I'm like, well, this, but maybe that and this and could be, but that, then I don't take a trade. When I take trades when I'm like, yeah, no brainer, go. I don't see that with BNB. When will I believe that for BNB? If we get back above this resistant trend line, then it'll be better. That'll be a confirmed finding of support here on this HVN and previous resistance right here, and a nice confirmed retest of support as resistance. So as we can see here, if we look at the line chart, we can see that quite clearly. We're putting in resistance right here, have a breakout, fails, comes back down, rejects off resistance. And this is the trade right here. This is what I'm talking about. You've got a key level. Let's chart this out, guys. So you can, and this is exactly, if you guys recall, this is exactly what I pointed out with the Ethereum trade. This is what I pointed out with Ontology when we took this trade a while ago. This is a pattern that you want to be watching out for. You have resistance. You have a clearly defined horizontal resistance level right here. Once, twice, 3 times, right? And here's a good example of it right here. You're making higher lows. And when you come up to retest resistance, and instead of coming back down to the bottom of the trading range, you actually put in a nice tight higher low, and then you start grinding up toward that resistance level on low volatility. That's a sign of strength. And that means that you're going to break out. When you approach resistance on high volatility, then most likely that's going to get sold into very with an equal amount of volatility, and that's how you're going to get those shooting star candles, those evening stars at the top. Forming a shooting star pattern. But when you make a higher low after a second or third test of resistance, you make a nice tight higher low and you start grinding back up, you can expect a break. So you would add a nice potential trade right there. And we see the same thing here. We do end up going back down to the bottom of the trading range. We come up and test resistance. We pull back and we start grinding up toward it quite nicely. And here was your signal to be in the trade right here. This breakout right here, this breakout of horizontal resistance. So now pulling back down to retest that as support, also finding confluence here with our diagonal. So there are good features here. There are good factors that look good on BNB. But while BTC is doing its thing over here, I'm not going to be throwing on new positions in altcoins. John Dunn, thank you, man. Very wise words. He says there's no such thing as something better than Bitcoin. Bitcoin still needs to complete so we know what a successful Bitcoin is. And if something looks like it'll be a better Bitcoin, huge whales could buy up unfair advantage before anyone else. Some think Bitcoin's homogeneous nature are critical to its success. Have you seen lately the XLM chart? Yep, I was talking about XLM yesterday. Hey, Quinberry, thank you so much, man. Hey, what's going on, Kyle? Gambling is tight. Hey, what's going on, Wally? Good to see you. What do you think exchanges with their bots have the power to manipulate the market? Yeah. I mean, people with bigger pockets are moving the markets. Retail traders aren't moving the markets. This is true in Forex. It's true in cryptocurrency. And this is why it's more important than ever to look at fundamental areas in the market to take your trades from. Ooh, Wally, good idea, man. Jasper says, did everybody hang themselves because of crypto? Only 60 watching today. Hey, it's all good, you know. Maybe people did hang themselves. Yeah, only 62. Only 72, actually. Oh, this thing's trying to play an ad at me. Come on, man. Don't play an ad at me. All right, let's see here. All right, getting back over here to the charts. I want to take a look at Ethereum. So let's go ahead and look at spot price. And let me pull up chat so I don't miss anything. Hey, good morning, Daniel. Hey, Wally, you bring up a really good point. Hey, what's going on, Satoshi? Good to see you. The man himself, the man, the myth, the legend. All right. Let's look at Ethereum. Yep, so kind of the same thing here on Ethereum. So we'll go to Ethereum USDT. And this is exactly what I said yesterday. Okay, so with Ethereum, and again, I understand this. A lot more lines on my chart for Ethereum. And the more lines that you have, the more confusing it can get. So what does this become? What does this become? Well, I pointed this out yesterday. I said this becomes a range. All right? This becomes a range. And one of the effective ways that you can do this now that you do have an entry range, as you can see here, so you have these two HVNs, right? With this one being the more important one, honestly, but we can see that we did come down through that and test the bottom here. So one thing that you can effectively do with this is you can determine your median. So you can see here that we have HVN support at 108.04 and 103.68. So pulling out the old calculator. And you know, if this is new to you guys, like I do this every single trade. I pull out a calculator and I make it non-subjective. I make it non-subjective. So we've got 108.04 plus 103.68 divided by 2. What's our median? 105.86. So then what we can do is we can place our median line. I almost got that bang on, 105.86. And then what we'd be doing is, so that would be considered our average entry, even though if you were ladder entering into this zone, you'd have, you know, one effective way to do this is to have laddered buys in this area if you're targeting this area for an entry. So something like, you know, one common thing that I do like to do is 10, 20, 30, 40 when I'm ladder buying into a range. So 10% fill, 20% fill, 30% fill, 40% fill, and then I'm jacked up to the top. Increasing, I'm buying more as I move down, because if you ladder appropriately that way, you'll effectively move your average entry much lower than if you just buy equal lots at each price target. So going down to the 4-hour chart. So what is our stop loss on this medium? Well, we're going to use ATR. Average true range, $2.32. Whoops. $98.90. And then you dynamically adjust your position size based on the distance to your stop. So in this particular example, the distance to your stop is 6.99. What does that mean? It means you put on a smaller position because your stop is wider. but you're looking to catch a larger movement. So what happens? So you would establish your take profit targets. We've got a clear, obviously, take profit target here back at a return to the point of control. That's our next HVN. You take profit at your first levels of resistance. So in this case, that HVN is coming around 115.68 to 116.22, depending on how you want to measure it. We've got some confluence there with our 55 exponential on the 4-hour chart. Let's go to the daily and see what we see. Yeah, that's right where our 21 is going to be coming in. And then you have these as well, just targeting HVNs, Their key levels of horizontal resistance as well. Confluence, good. But not going to be putting this trade on. Not putting this trade on again. Not going to trade against the trend because I've tried to do that a couple times, hasn't worked out for me. And the big winners that I've had in this market cycle have been going with the dominant underlying trend. So the big winners back at the beginning or back at the end of last year were putting on the shorts on Bitcoin in this range right here. Or we're putting on the longs for Bitcoin in that range right there. Big problem, took profits too early on the first movement up. But you got to be looking for the big movements in the market and looking to follow the underlying trend. So what is the underlying trend right here? The underlying trend is to the downside. So you're looking for opportunities to put on shorts. You don't really have confirmation that your short trade is invalidated until the daily closes above here on Ethereum, above that point of control. Objective standards for bullishness or bearishness. So we've broken down from the point of control. That's a bearish signal. You put on a short. Coming down into a take profit area, an area of support established by two nodes of high volume on the volume profile. So areas where you would have wanted to be taking profit, but not areas potentially where I'd want to be trying to catch a knife. Where's the area you want to be catching a knife? 89 to 86 bucks is the area where you want to be catching a knife, and that's also your long-term. That's also your long-term target. You also have this one right here. You also have this level coming out here at 94.32 in this 94 to 93 area. You can see the spike on the volume profile right there, and you also have previous resistance right there, horizontal resistance right there. And all of this becomes very easy to see if you guys just turn off the candle chart and look at the line chart. Here's the thing with analysis paralysis, man. If you look at this, like all these wicks just blow your mind. You turn this baby on and things become quite easy to see. Looking at the line chart makes things very, very easy to see. It reduces a lot of noise. So I highly recommend that you implement this as part of your strategy. Is this down move actually bullish in the long term? You know, I was having an interesting conversation with a very intelligent person last night, and I'm not going to name any names, but his idea was that basically what we saw happen in cryptocurrency lately, to him, says that the bear market is over. Because we had the negative news of the ETF being withdrawn. And in a bear market, you expect, I don't trade the news, but in a bear market, you expect, in a bear market, you would expect for a very negative news cycle like that to have a steep impact on price. But we didn't see that. We didn't see that at all. Now, some might argue that we're seeing it now and it was just a delayed effect. What, like everybody who got that negative news of the Bitcoin ETF, like we're like, we'll wait a few days to panic sell. It's not how it works. People panic sell fairly immediately. So we'll see. We'll see, man. We're at an interesting time in cryptocurrency. I'm placing my bets on picking up my longs around support. Until then, short trades are still obviously the safest thing. You're still trading with the trend, guys. You're still trading with the trend. No reason. There's only 2 reasons why you should why you should be putting on longs. If we're able to get back above the point of control on Ethereum, which is right now at 115.79, if we're able to get back above that point of control, or if we come back down to support. Other than that, you look to put on shorts. It's the dominant trend. Don't fight the trend. You're going to get your face punched in. All right. Yep, Tron coming along quite nicely. Let's look at Ripple. Yeah, Ripple doing nicely as well. So depending on how people manage the trade, let's go look at spot price. So there you go. Ripple right here. You had this level of previous resistance turn support. And this kind of zone had held, and now Ripple has just blown through that area. We have put in a local top. We've put in actually a double top, and we see this SFP pattern. We see this swing failure pattern right here. And then just a full decline, breaking down now past support, guys. Don't really see anywhere. I don't see Ripple really stopping until we get here down to this HVN, which is a next area. Possible to hold. But more than likely down here, return to the median. So yeah, you've got a couple areas here. You've got this zone right here, and then you've got this range right here. But other than that, guys, I don't see any reason to be optimistic about Ripple right now. Again, you have to see proof of bullishness. We blew completely through those 100 simples, and we don't have our 200. Here's our 200 exponential and our 200 simple down here. So we've got a little bit of confluence here with our 200 exponential coming in right there, in that previous consolidation range, that volume profile high volume node, as we can see right here. And then we've got some confluence down here with this high volume node and our 200 simple. So. But just blew through the 100 simple and just gave no fucks. Gave none. So, all right. So just trade the trend, guys. You're going to be all right. Yeah, we see that represented pretty clearly here on the XRP chart. So look for opportunities. Look for opportunities to put in shorts. Don't short the bottom. When you see something like this, let this play out. You get high volatility movements down, generally the worst time to enter into a trade. Wait until a position of low volatility and then take your bet. Or wait until a retest of resistance. All right, guys. Let's look at and we already talked about Tron. BCH. Yeah, BCH kind of finding the bottom, or excuse me, finding support right now, right here in this zone. And here's the thing, guys. Just Just look for these important zones, man. Just look for these important zones to put on trades. So this is previous resistance on the daily time frame. Price pulls back down here, finds a little bit of support. Where's our confluence? VPVR. Break down from this high volume node right here. Down below all our moving averages as well, although Bcash ABC is so new. But this is what you got to be charting on. This is what you got to be charting on if you're doing BCHH19. Hey, Tenacious V, good morning to you, man. Only 2 days to go until we are under 3,200. Right on, man. Mark D, congratulations, man. Let's see, EOS. EOS coming down on that double level of support right there. Although those double levels of support do extend down into an LVN, so those are intraday wicks down. Yeah, I can't take a position on EOS. I mean, it's at that spot where you want to long, but you got this consolidation. And if this is a bottom, if you're going to consolidate, stop loss hunt to the downside and then break up on high volatility, I don't see it, man. Constant rejection from this resistance zone right here. This spike on the HVN right there acting as resistance. This one acting as resistance now. Getting nice confluence with your 55 exponential right there. Yeah, we got to get back above this, baby. We got to get, again, as I said, on larger time frames, you need to be looking at larger time frames, longer time frames to determine your directional bias. Nothing about this is bullish. You want to follow trends. You don't want to catch knives most of the time. Now, that's not to say that there's not opportunities to do that. Same thing here for Cardano. You've got, look at Cardano. You've got previous resistance. Yeah, your HVN right here. You've got your 100 simple moving average. And here, I'll just zoom this out. So where do you think was the good place to be? Remember, guys, without a significant change in volume or sentiment, the trend is unlikely to change. What do you see up here? You see a significant change in volume at resistance, approaching volume on high volatility. When you approach resistance on high volatility, you want to be putting in your short. When you approach support on high volatility, which you don't see right here, but you do see the consolidation, and then you break resistance right there. So when you approach support on high volatility, you're likely to get a bounce. When you approach resistance on high volatility, you're likely to get a rejection. If you creep up, like you see here, look at this slow crawl. Look at this slow crawl toward resistance. Nice higher lows. And then you're likely to see a breakout to the upside. Somebody had asked for XLM. Let's look at XLM. See if XLM has developed any. Nope, continuing its high volatility movement downwards. And let's talk about XLM. And this is exactly what I said yesterday too. XLM really holding up well in the bear market, right? Actually putting in higher daily highs back here, even back in November, whereas everything else had been lower daily highs. But XLM kind of on that precipice, form consolidation right here. And as I said, what happens when you approach support on high volatility, you're likely to get a bounce, which happened right here. You approach support on high volatility, you get this nice little baby relief rally. And then you just slowly creep down and creep down and creep down and creep down to support, and it breaks. Because that low volume movement toward key levels of horizontal support and resistance are not signs of strength. They're signs of weakness. Meaning that in whatever direction you're moving toward that horizontal, if you're moving toward that horizontal on low volume, that level is likely to break. And another thing too is, yeah, XLM looks like it's in that attractive spot to buy, but look what happened over here. Look at how far we were able to wick down. I mean, another 18 to 20%. So no knife catching for XLM, guys. No knife catching. Waiting until we get back above some established level of support or resistance, or until we see some clear sign of capitulation, because this looks like it's likely to continue to the downside. Let's see here. Hey, Gabe Anderson, what's going on? It says late to the party, but you got a question. Sure, man, I got answers. Do I ever use the 1.272 or the 1.618 fib levels? If so, when and why? Yeah. If I'm looking for take profit targets on a new all-time highs. So let's say, for example, that XLM gets back above yearly highs. So what I'm more keen to do is actually, as you can see here, I've got the 1.272 and the 1.414. The 1.618 can go on there, but I try to keep it simple. But so what I do is Fibonacci extensions of this range. And now, since if we break this all-time high, we don't really have any metrics. So the first one I'd be shooting for is Dow theory, the 50% extension. I'd be looking for the equilibrium swing right here. And then you have to start looking at these as potential take profit targets. As far as when I use it and why, so when you're looking at what you want to use for Fibonacci extensions, you do just want to put in the work and find out which extensions work best for you in what circumstances. Hey, Wally, thanks so much for the $10, man. Consolidate the likes and support this guy's channel. Break yourself the upside and subscribe. Don't capitulate. Learn, earn, don't get burned. Hey, man, thank you so much, brother. Highly appreciate that support. Neo and Loom. We'll take some looks, man. Yeah. Yeah, they can, Gabe. Yeah, absolutely. So we see the exact same thing here. So as you can see here, I've got the negative 1.27, or excuse me, in this case, the 1.272 and the 1.414. Looking at the Fibonacci retracement. Yep, you've got your levels right here. So whenever you're looking at moving into uncharted territories, that's where situations like this are going to come in handy. However, I use the negatives because I find that, again, you're going to hit those areas easier. And depending on what your time frame is it 6 months? Is it 3 months? Is it a day? Is it 2 years? The difference between a negative extension, the negative like 50%, for example, and the negative 1.618, for example, is huge variance. So I got that idea from ICT, actually, Intercontinental Trader. So yeah. So Loom, hey, no problem, man. All right, so sorry, just take some stuff off of here. Yep, not a big fan, man. I mean, just this straight descent into chaos, And yeah, we're coming back down to that. We're coming back around that support level, but not seeing any shift in momentum whatsoever. Need to see a little bit of break in that momentum to the downside. Ethereum getting ready to waterfall again, he says. Yep. That rejection from resistance right there. Nah, man. I can't jump on it. I can't allow what I've already said. So I've already got a plan for what to do on the daily time frame. And if I start changing that because I see a potential attractive setup on the 30-minute chart, I'm just going to wreck myself. Just got to wait, man. Just got to wait and let the trade come to me. All right, let's finish with Loom here. Okay, so yeah, doesn't look nice at all. Let's talk about where we can go. So this is going to be a good example of what we were just talking about there, Gabe. Yeah, below all supports, or excuse me, below all resistance. No support below us. Closing the daily down below the HVN right here. So we've got some time to see how this is going to close. I mean, unless the entire market reverses all at once here, then I don't expect this to really go anywhere, honestly, unfortunately. So let's look at Loom here. And let's hide those lines. Oh, come on. So when we're looking at Loom here, let's remember what we've been talking about today. Support holds. You approach support on high volatility. All right, you put in a bottom. You approach support on high volatility, you get a reaction. You approach support on high volatility, you get a reaction. And what is this? What is this slow stutter stepping? Just hanging out, down around support. That's a breakdown to the downside, man. Yeah. So your only option here is to not buy it because you can't short Loom. So you do have that. You do have your bottom coming in around that 1001. So on the daily time frame, that's going to be about 10% below. You got about 10% to drop because I think this range is going to pop. So you can try and catch a knife there and manage your risk with ATR. I don't think it's going to be worth it. I think it's just going to be safer to let this thing bottom where it's going to bottom and then look to buy it when it actually breaks its first level of resistance. So this is going to be a good opportunity for us to do exactly what we wanted to do there, Gabe. So if we're looking at new yearly lows, let's see here. Dow theory 50%. Not 2515, 2,515 satoshis. I'm not saying that's going to happen. Again, we can see the plunge. We can see the plunge down here below and then up. But it's got to prove it to me. So when I see stuff like this, I'm not interested in buying. I'm not interested in buying until I actually see the range get broken, until I see some resistance get broken. Why? Because the risk to reward is fantastic. But just because the risk to reward is fantastic doesn't mean that, oh, it's going sideways, must be accumulating. No, it's probably distributing. It's probably distributing, and it's going to go down here. Yeah, I gotta let Ethereum move here a little bit. See what happens. I mean, it's not a bad spot. But again, I've got my plan for Ethereum. Where should I set a buy order for Bitcoin? Well, I'll tell you, I'm not going to tell you what you should do, but I'll tell you what I'm doing. And I have buy orders set at 32.25 and 31.21. All right, so one thing that we looked at already, let's go over here, was the bull bear income. We already looked at bull bear income. We can see that come on, bigger. What's going on, man? Interesting. So looking at VC Health, we're actually seeing that limit buys for Bitcoin are just maxing out right now. We can see here, look at the market depth ratio. This measures the ratio of bids to asks on the order books. And you can see here, just this as price has gone down. I mean, just look at this skyrocketing. When you see this, when you see MDR doing a parabolic movement like this, you're expecting a really high volatile movement. You see volatility. And the bears finally in profit after quite a period of being unprofitable. So if we take the month into account, we can see that the bears, excuse me, the shorters have basically been in unprofitable positions. Why? Because we've had price contraction, and as I explained earlier, we've been shorting the bottom. Now look what we're happening over here. We do have bears, we do have shorts finally in profit. Now, what's the mentality of somebody who's in a profitable position? Remember, every time that the bears become profitable, we see a turn in the market. When the longs become profitable, we see a turn in the market. Nobody's profitable, the market's unlikely to make a significant movement. And now we see a spike in short income. Shorts are profitable now. So what are you thinking if you're a short? You're probably thinking you want to take profit, because now you're finally in profit after you've been unprofitable for so long. In fact, quite profitable. So let's combine that with this order book. Now, one thing that we can do here is we can go back out here on VC depth and look at the nearest 5%. So within 5% of current price, within 5% of price, we do see that Bitcoin's MDR is actually quite high, and it's actually improved 16.65% in the last 24 hours. The same with Ethereum, Ripple, Litecoin, a lot of buying going on. and a lot of people selling Tether within 5% of price. A lot of people selling Tether. That means they're selling Tether to buy crypto. So let's look at 10% though. Yeah, larger within 10% of price. So what I'm doing here is I'm looking at, okay, so I get the idea from this. This is telling me that there's a lot of buys coming into the order books. Okay, but that doesn't tell me where they are. Are they like way low? Are they super low in the books? Like people are trying to right, it doesn't tell me where they are in the books though. You know, so okay, a lot of buys are coming in. Great. Are the buys at 3,000? Then, you know, why do I want to buy now? But what VC depth actually has added, so how far away are those within price? So within 5%. So we can actually see that within 5% of price, the buys are coming into the books. Now, here's the thing though about that. We have to take this with a grain of salt, because let's go over here and look at, well, where's within 5% of price? Where's within 5% of price? Well, within 5% of price is support, you know? So you do want to look at that. You do want to look at that. When you're looking at these fundamental elements, you have to figure out how to make them work for you, how to actually discern what they're doing. The bid-ask sum is really helpful for that as well, even though market depth ratio is better now because it's aggregating data across exchanges. So let's look at, here's 5% of, excuse me, guys. Here's 5% of price. Yeah, look at that. Within 5% of price on Bitfinex, I mean, bids just skyrocketed. Within 5% of price on BitMEX, not so much. And Coinbase, bid skyrocketing. So why do we look at multiple exchanges? Oh, because it's very hard to manipulate price across multiple exchanges. Hey, thank you so much, Tenacious, brother. I appreciate it, man. Dang, I've taught them all well. There's no such thing as market manipulation. The market works exactly how it's supposed to. The rich get rich and the poor get poor. That's the game, guys. So what you're trying to do is trying to trade like the rich. Oh, I wanted to look at Loom. That was the context of what I wanted to pull this up for. Yeah, so here's the market depth ratio for Loom, and this is year to date. So this is, well, it's 12/31. So actually, let's do 6 months so we can actually go back. Yep. So this is the last 6 months of Loom, and this is the market depth ratio. And what really isn't great. No, this isn't actually too bad. When you see MDR really low, it means not a lot of orders in the books, meaning that nobody's really interested in trading it. And although we do see kind of this ascending pattern, on what's the word I'm looking for? On Loom here, in the market depth ratio. Again, you can do a little bit of technical analysis on market depth ratio. I'd love it if I could actually get this stuff on a chart. Because I think it'd be fascinating to actually do the technical analysis on market depth ratio, the actual ratio of buys to sells. But yeah, this isn't positive. I would want to actually see the green MDR, or the number of buys on the books actually be above the number of asks on the books before I'd want to take a long-term position on an altcoin, and that's kind of what I'm looking at here. That's what I've been looking at for a while. XLM. Yeah, XLM, the MDR just continues to fall down. Let's look at these 6 months here, for example. Yeah, MDR just continues to fall down. It's kind of flat, so it seems like we found some kind of agreement on how many people want to buy and how many people want to sell. But then, yeah, the market's turning, and we're just kind of getting this down slump right here. We're actually now we're going to see. Yeah, I mean, this is the number of people who just want to trade this at all is diminishing here. And that's not great. I want to see MDR on the rise. So when MDR is on the rise, I'm looking to trade something, and I'm waiting for the MDR, the buys to be superior to the asks. That's a good time to buy. When the asks become superior to the bids, that's a good time to sell. But what you want to see more fundamentally is rising MDR, meaning that there's more orders being put on the books. More people are interested in buying. More people are interested in selling. Oh shit! Sorry, guys. I see it, man. Thanks, guys. My bad. Let's see here. All right, guys, just take all that information, and apply it to what we were just talking about there. So just to describe, so we see MDR here for stellar lumens on the decline. We see MDR on the decline. And what I want to see is rising MDR. With rising MDR, it means more people are wanting to trade this asset. So when MDR is falling, see, this can be manipulated, right? And I know what again, that's the comment that I get. But Justin, they're spoofing. You put the bid wall up so that people buy and then you dump it, right? I get that. Yeah, of course that can happen. But what you will not spoof is the money that you're putting on there to set up that bid or sell wall, right? If you're not willing to put the money on there to set up the bid or sell wall, then it's like, well, geez, even the manipulators aren't even interested in trading this. Like, oh my God, what do? We don't trade this. We trade something else. So that's why I want to see rising MDR, because that means that to the upside or to the downside, it means that more people are interested in trading this asset because there's more money flowing into the asset. So when MDR is rising, you can look for a very common buy signal. When bids are superior to asks, you buy. When asks are superior to sells, you sell. All right, so we looked at Loom, XLM. We've kind of looked at everything. Let's go look at, one thing that I want to check in on is Mr. Monero. Because we charted this last night, and this is still one that I've got my eye on, and taken a downturn with the rest of the market. Yeah, so everything just got absolutely hammered. Yeah, we talked about BNB earlier. Basically, my thought on BNB is this. You're coming down to a key level of support. You were able to break that long term. I mean, that's the weekly resistance trend line right there. That's the weekly resistance trend line on BNB. You had a big high volatile. I can speak on occasion. Highly volatile stab back down to our support level right here. But the problem is BNB is tightly correlated with Bitcoin. And looking at Bitcoin, unless Bitcoin holds the support level and goes to make a bullish movement upwards, I don't want to re-enter this trade. So I actually now have to wait for a little bit of confirmation. I have to wait for BNB to actually close the daily back above this level, because then that will be a re-breakout. It'll be a re-breakout. So we got faked out right here. We got faked out on a sustainable movement to the upside. Pulled back down to support. We're at the apex of this pattern though, right? If you're looking at this particular chart pattern. We're at the apex, so this does have to actualize. It's you know, BNB is being forced to choose it, to pick a side. Just looking at everything, I mean, you've got the support from the high volume node right here. Let's throw in our EMAs. Yeah, you got the support from the high volume node right here and the ascending trend line. However, you're underneath all your EMAs. They're curling down and moving sideways. You got rejected. You got rejected from that, from your 100s, your 100 simple and your 100 exponential. Coming in right there is actually where you got your rejection, forming strong resistance right now. So yeah, when I get conflicting signals like that, I don't take trades. I do not take positions. Again, as I talked about, you've got the horizontal resistance turn support right here that you're looking to take a trade off of, and the ascending trend line. So, I mean, everything just points to this area. It's like, hey, you should buy this area. This is the area to buy. But I'm not going to. I'm not going to with XBT doing its thing over here. Yeah. Well, I pretty much am at my computer all day. That's my job. But the TradingView app on the mobile is really nice. Tab Trader is also what I used to. Yeah, I used Tab Trader for a long, long time. Yeah, sure, man. We'll look at Neo. I don't think my opinion's changed on it a whole lot. Yeah, it's just, I'm looking at this area right here, $5.84. We've got this 1, 2, 3 movements, 3 tests of support right here. But again, you know, moving down on high volatility, you get a bounce. Moving down on high volatility, you get a bounce. Moving down on low volatility. Can the level hold? Like, yeah. But again, just as with everything else, it's just not an area of the market where I want to be catching knives. I mean, because you're trying to catch, the whole market moves as once, man. And if you're saying that you want to catch a knife on Neo, then you're saying that you need to catch a knife on Ethereum, you need to catch a knife on Bitcoin. And I need to see, again, I want to wait for bullish confirmation to take a bullish trade. You know, we found a bottom right here. Let's find another bottom. The only area where I'd be super interested in picking up Neo right now, unless we're able to close above this high volume node right here and prove to me that, hey, we're back in bull territory, man. So yeah, we've got this horizontal resistance level right here and also this HVN. So we'll just go ahead and call the HVN. Yeah, so if we're able to close that daily above that $7.61, then we can potentially talk about a retest of our highs right here. Just a movement back up to this HVN. We've also got a shorter term target right here. But I don't want to put too much stuff on the chart to clutter it up. So just keep to the big picture, keep to the big moves. So daily close above this, we look to target the resistance level right here and set our stop. However you're setting your stop, ATR 3 on the 4-hour chart, below swing lows, below support, however you want to set it, below the HVN, below the point of control in the HVN. Lots of good ways to set your stop. But yeah, for right now, nope, not interested in Neo. It's got to come down here. So I'll just wait patiently. As you can see, I've even got an alert set for it because this is one that Alex was interested in trading, was Neo. We traded Neo. We caught, I can't say if it was absolutely this movement or this movement because Alex was the one that put the trade on and I just copied him. Jasper says, I'm using Bitcoin Checker for general price movement, DRAC-DO for all kinds of alerts on RSI moving. Yeah, that's true, man. As long as my phone's not screaming at me, I don't have to check the charts. You're true, man. That's awesome. That's right. Yeah, you know, you don't want to spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours every day charting. It's not necessarily going to be more productive to your trading, you know. Oh, hey, by the way, Ahmed, thank you so much for the subscription on YouTube, man. Sorry if I missed you. All right. All right. So closing thoughts for XBT USD, guys, because it's about 5 minutes left. We got to get going. Closing thoughts for XBT USD. Don't try and be a hero. Don't try and counter trade the trend. I would be looking at, again, let's just go to the daily, and we'll keep this very, very easy. Actually, we'll just take all this stuff off of here. Go to the daily. What are the important levels to watch for? Look for opportunities to enter into shorts. All rallies are to be shorted in a market. Don't try to come to the party late. I would not recommend trying to short at this entry right here. Now, if the daily goes ahead and closes below this descending trend line, and even more importantly, below the support line, then I think you can safely take a short to 3,200. But my setup is to be looking to accumulate at 32.25 and 31.21. Now, you guys do your own trading, establish your own lines, establish your own reasonings, because I have a system and a strategy that tells me why I should be doing this, and I'm following that system and that strategy. Don't make your own decisions, guys. Looking at Ethereum, big picture, similar kind of setup. Now, what I might do is keep the ETH short open so that I can hedge against the pickup on XBT. But same thing, if you're not in the position now, don't be late to the party, man. Levels to be looking for to enter your shorter up here at 116. If you get a daily close above the point of control here at 116.44, then you could potentially look at a bullish trade, because then you can say with pretty good confidence that you've just been faked out to the downside. Not faked out, but that you've tapped into enough liquidity. But I don't see the reversal candle, and I don't really see the volume. Again, this looks like breakdown volume to me and not breakup volume. So area to keep your eye on for Ethereum is $90.21. And then also the swing low as well, $80.58 to be picking up for the long side. Obviously, first target right here at resistance. That same 116.44. Ripple looks like absolute crap. Tron looks like absolute crap. We're most likely going to see, as just with the high volatility that we saw last night, we're most likely going to see a little bit of upward movement on all of them. Don't be a hero, guys. You're getting a good opportunity to enter into a position. Make sure you take it. All right, guys, that's all I got for today. Again, we've got some exciting stuff coming out this week. It's not all done yet, but we're going to be doing. We're going to be giving away a few master nodes of a coin. Just got to get that all finished and figured out. We're going to be giving away a free month of premium trading group access to a lucky winner. We'll let you guys know what that's all going to look like when we get it completely done. I've got about 3 or 4 people that I'm going to be bringing on the show over the next 2 weeks. Really intelligent, interesting guys that I think have some vital information that I'm not seeing anywhere else on the YouTube space. Hey guys, sorry, I wish I could look at all that stuff, man, but I got a jet, man. I got some meetings I got to get to today, and I got to interface with these subscribers, guys. Let's see here. Am I forgetting anything? Nope. Okay, so just the regular stuff. Let's go over here. All right, as usual, guys, if you want to support the show, if this is your first time here, I am here every day breaking down the markets and showing you what I think is going to happen next. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you're watching, the thumbs up. We highly appreciate that. If you do want to support the show, please head over to twitch.tv/Cracking Crypto and give us a follow, give us a subscribe, helps keep the lights on here. You can head up the merch store at crackingcryptocurrency.com/merch. Pick up some nice swag, man. Represent your favorite YouTube personality, breaking down the technical analysis for you. Highly appreciate that as well. It helps Scott not have to eat ramen, or at least if he is eating ramen, he can add like little dices of ham to it. He really appreciates that. If 2018 has been rough on you, if you are tired of entering to a trade at the worst time, if you are tired of shorting the bottom and longing the top, and you would like to understand how to determine the key levels, the key turning points in the market for yourself, and have a community that can actually help you grow in knowledge, technically and fundamentally, consider joining the Cracking Cryptocurrency Premium Trading Group. You will get access to not just my setups, not just my signals, but also access to all the other trader and analyst signals as well and setups. You'll also get access to my webinar series designed to teach you from scratch how to be a profitable trader. You'll get access to our database library, your own customizable trade journal, our live trade tracking sheet, as well as human curated news and one-on-one mentorship and support. You'll also get access to We add stuff all the time. Oh, of course, the hidden Discord, guys. The members lounge chat room and the VIP day trading voice chat. All right, you guys have been fantastic, awesome, and yeah, this week. You guys have been awesome, fantastic, and wonderful. Thank you so much for supporting us, man. Scott Bias, thank you so much for the sub on YouTube, guys. Ramen and ham, yum. All right, guys, that's all for me. I hope today's show has helped crack cryptocurrency for you. Again, I'm Justin Wise with Cracking Cryptocurrency for another Bitcoin breaking Bitcoin market update. You guys have been fantastic. Have a good evening.